Hi everyone, welcome back to Through Alchemy. So today's reading is going to be all about messages from your spirit guides. So we have three piles from the left to right. The first pile is Dendritic Agate. The second pile is Rainbow Moonstone. And the third pile is Clear Quartz. Pause if you need a little longer. Pick the one which calls your name the most. Now I'm going to begin with pile number 1. Hello, pile number 1. If you chose the Dendritic Agate, this is going to be your reading. So concerning with the crystal, we have Dendritic Agate, which is good for maintaining a peaceful, calm aura and environment for yourself. So I wonder if you have been facing some triggers as of now. The first card that we have is Kawa Kawa. So this is 48, reduces to 12, reduces to 3. This is community. 3 with community. Number 3 for me signifies with the what's the word, aligning your body, mind and spirit. So all desires are like sort of in alignment with your soul. And Kawakawa's community card, which is Moon and Pluto and Moon. So this is like a transformative energy. I wonder if you are going through something which is heavily triggering for you, especially for the emotional mind, basically like how you think about emotions, how you perceive emotions are, and are they bad, are they too much, or like you shouldn't have an overindulgence in them. There's something like I've seen, like you feel like emotions are too much, or you have some sort of like a shame or neglect towards your emotional body. That's what's changing over here. We have tranquility, harmonious in action. Number 15. Garden of Venus, rest and renewal. Have you recently been through something quite like strong, something that really shook you up, which is requiring for you to take back your energy? It's almost like you might have I feel like you need to get out there. And I just saw triple three, triple two. I did note down triple two, triple zero, and dandelions. Like that's a song. Dandelions. I wonder if this happened because of a breakup with you, that you have disconnected your emotional body with other people. I wonder if you are convincing yourself, or there's a part of you which is telling yourself that I don't need emotional connectivity, and it's maybe, a consequence of a heartbreak, or heartbreaks can be caused through family relationships, familial relationships, or friendships as well. It's not always romantic. Either ways, I see that you are somebody who has shut down your emotional quotient. It's like telling yourself that I don't need this. Maybe you're channeling it completely sexually. Maybe you're not channeling it at all. Maybe you have completely isolated. For majority of you, I see that you have completely isolated yourself. Um, if in none other ways, like it's just like you have emotionally like created defenses, not boundaries. So I feel like you have become way too, cautious, serious about who are you letting in, or like you're neglecting your need for emotional connectivity. See, one thing is like you can't go against the biology of wanting perhaps a relationship, that is your desire, or wanting more friends, because if you're seeking something, if you find something, if you want something, if you find yourself wanting something more, it means that there is a need that is not being met. And if you often have this need that I still want it, and you convince yourself that it's not going to happen, you feel unworthy for it, you think that, it's not going to happen for you. Like, this purging phase, I feel like you need to really get this out of yourself, like your system. I feel like there's no other way to say this rather than honestly place it out there, that you kind of have to put your walls down, and perhaps not even way too much where you're just like forcing yourself to be somebody you're not, and I don't know, um, perform toxic positivity when you're not okay with it. I mean, I feel like it's like stepping outside of the out of your comfort zone, but not completely making yourself aloof, or it's like finding perhaps a middle ground, like that would be maybe just allowing the thought, or entertaining the thought of allowing somebody in your life, right? That's what I'm suggesting over here, that you try to put your walls down, just like let in. It's almost like open the curtains or the drapes, like let it down, just let the sunshine come in a little bit. So maybe it's just like get back out there trying to just talk to people. You don't have to always talk to people with the motive of dating them. I feel like maybe your attachment style doesn't allow you or that freedom to just get to know another person without the expectation of an outcome, or like what are we, like I'm getting that. So maybe try to just allow yourself, could put yourself in this mindset that I'm just going to try to see how somebody else is. And you don't always have to jump to conclusions, because there's a lot that you should know and figure out, and see yourself in different situations with that person before you date someone. So that could be a thing, because we are talking about Garden of Venus, which does relate directly with love. And I feel like maybe you don't always have to take concrete action in building something specifically with someone. You can always just see how things feel. um, Not everything requires a concrete commitment from you, okay? But I feel like this is asking you to reflect back in your feminine energy with the purplish hair. It's like a purple, it's not magenta, but it's something like purple and pink. It's like this energy where you really have to think about where you're taking yourself, because I get it that this situation could have been painful for you, whatever happened. I'm not taking away your right to grieve it, but I'm also saying that cutting yourself off and telling yourself that you don't need more emotional connectivity because you didn't receive enough of it in your previous relationship, or now you don't have it, or it's not from the same person that you wanted, or you're just heartbroken. Like, it's like denying yourself, perhaps, like opening up that door for you can be a way of uh dialing down the disassociation that you have developed towards human connectivity and emotions. And perhaps I think that this would require you to also rekindle with your own self, with, I said that number three, body, mind, spirit. So it's almost like maybe you're blocking out your intuition, like you're going through a creative block. This is because your creativity flows through your emotions and your intuitions, like the song of your spirit. So if you don't let your emotions flow, because emotions are like energy, right? Energy keeps flowing. You cannot kill energy, you cannot diminish it, you can transmute it. So here I feel like when you stop the flow of energy, it can also, like, let's just say, like money and love, all these things of life are actually energies. So when you stop the flow inside of you for anything, especially emotions, they are such a big part of you. This can deal like so much, this can create so much stagnancy within you. It can create physical symptoms of pain, anxiety, and bottle up emotions, which can further cause you more distress physically. I feel like you might be facing that already. um, and I feel like when you allow those emotions, like that distilled water, perhaps, like it starts flowing back up. So the energy, it never really like stops. It should not stop through you. You are like a vessel, right? So that energy should keep flowing through you. So whether it means like negative energy, like it needs to be purified, right? So you need to give yourself time. Like imagine yourself, I know, lack for a better example, for instance, you're like a filtration system of water. If the water is dirty, you just don't stop it over there and like give up on it, right? You know that the body knows what to do, the system knows what to do, and it will give you clean water somehow. It'll take time, a day or two, or maybe an hour or two, right? So maybe you need to let that energy just flow out of you so that it can actually do its work, because your body actually knows what it needs in this moment, but it's perhaps your emotional mind that I spoke about that is requiring for you to view as this something that is not bigger than you right now. I know that that can feel so big. I just saw 1010 on my screen. I feel like this energy is like you don't feel safe enough with yourself, or you were not ready to unpack that baggage. I guess that is completely your choice. I feel like you should be comfortable with whatever you're dealing with, but if you know purposely that you are pushing away your emotions when they want to come up, when you want to cry, and you tell yourself, no, I have this to do, I have that to do, like I can't do this right now, no. I feel like when you need to take a time out to cleanse it out, that is important. When you know you're avoiding it and you're making other things a bigger priority than they should be. Does that make sense? Pile number one. So I'm going to unfold your other cards. We have caution, determination, the lamp. You're going to put this aside. I'm going to pull out an affirmation for you. I was gonna do this by the end of the reading, but like let's see what comes up, because I feel like guided to. Okay, we have two. I'm gonna take this one. It's a good day to have a good day. Challenge negative thoughts. Why is that negative and anxious thoughts are always the loudest in our heads? They're difficult to ignore, but it's important to remember that thoughts are not facts. When these thoughts strike, challenge them like you would a politician you disagree with. Ask yourself why you're thinking this way, then flip the negative on its head and turn it into something positive. So I feel like you tread really lightly when it comes to your own emotions. Like I feel like you would be that hype man, hype woman for your friends. You would really be there for them, to uplift them. You would have something or the other to share with them. But I feel like there is this loneliness within you that comes from self abandonment. You really, really belittle yourself quite a lot because of what has happened. I don't know what has happened, and how it has impacted you is clearly in front of you, right? It's clearly in front of both of us. Like you have become cautious. I feel like there is a fair amount of passive aggressiveness to the fact that things happen in life, and probably you are somebody that has tones of people pleasing, where you would just be like, you know what, it's okay, never mind, but it actually kills you inside when somebody does that, or towards that person in your previous relationship, or you still have pent up anger. And I feel like you have passive aggressiveness, like it comes up when we feel like we're not allowed to feel the way we should. In fact, there is the same thing that I said, that feelings, these thoughts and feelings, they come up, they're important, they should not be ignored or dismissed, but they're not facts completely. So the way you're feeling, it's not that it should not be acknowledged, but it doesn't have to be a whole being of truth also. Does that dichotomy make sense to you? Pile number one. Like you can really feel it and tell yourself that, you know what, this happened and it made me feel like that in that moment when it happened with me. Like, you know, the lamp remembrance. This is a card which talks about um almost like valuable lessons learned in the darkness, like what the darkness taught you. You know how we have a lamp in the darkness because it sheds light in the darkness. So it's like recalling the lesson. Remember, extract the lesson from that memory and let go of the bad memory. A lot of times, I feel like a lot of times, you know, this happens that we have paused it, but the mind doesn't forget. But I feel like in your scenario, it's like you have not grieved it and you don't let yourself grieve it. It's like you have passive aggressiveness towards anybody that comes closer to you. Maybe it's your parents as well, or you have pent up anger because you deny yourself the space, the platform. You know, and I said about dendritic, it's a stone that helps us create a peaceful environment. So you deny yourself that environment, that surrounding, to honestly feel negatively. So I don't know if you feel like these emotions are not good, or I'm getting the word overindulgence, like you don't let yourself completely feel it. Like if you need to cry a lot every day consecutively for 5 7 days, or even if you need to cry 3 hours in a day, if you're having breakdowns while, you know, like um commuting to your job, or I don't know, going somewhere to the gym, and you're having breakdowns and you're like, you know, you're just not doing well, and maybe your friends and people are asking you, like you just go, you know, you go MIA on them, like you're just not available, like you vanish and all these things. Like I feel like it's a very good indication that you are going through something like a burnout, like you're really tired or you're depressed or something. Like it's to recognize. Now, I wouldn't say that, you know, just diagnose yourself with these words, but there's something that you should definitely realize, that there's fatigue, right? The body is getting tired of carrying this pain. Like the body is letting you know, hey, I can't carry this, you know, like the burden of these feelings, I can't carry it any longer. So this is what I see over here, to embrace this um, chapter of your life where it requires, you know, resilience. And I know it's easier said than done, but this is what is coming through for you. Pile number one, your body is letting you know that it can't really carry on this burden, like something is bothering it and it has got to get it out, especially when it comes to the story or the narrative you pronounced, or sorry, recited to yourself. Like, you know, when that breakup or that split happened in your life, or whatever happened, like you told yourself a specific story that may or may not have been true about yourself, at least, if not that other person, how they hurt you or you hurt them. But whatever happened, I feel like it's time to change the narrative, and I feel like you can only do that when you revisit it, or like you allow yourself to at least feel that situation and like begin to unpack that pain for yourself, right? So pile number one, this was your reading. I'm going to leave it here. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated. Information for personal readings is given down below, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number two. If you chose the Rainbow Moonstone, this is going to be your reading. So this is about intuition, the stone that you chose. This is related to intuition, and I got a specific message that a few of you have not been taking care of your health, your diet, perhaps your supplements. Something like you're forgetting to take care of your daily routines or self-care, you're falling back on it, or I don't know. I'm not trying to be hard on you for that, but I'm just giving you a reminder that those things are very, very important. So this is calendula. This is the sun energy. It's labeled as purity. There's an inner child depiction. We have a bird. I don't know what bird is that. We have root, girl, disowned self. mystery, ghost, regret. Anger. Yeah, I was like, something's missing over here. It doesn't really fit completely. You've been through a lot. Uh, like I feel like every person has their own fair share of struggles. But I think what I'm hearing over here is it's like it's time to let go. It's time to let go of the grudges, the pain that you hold towards your parents and your childhood. Maybe you have this internal dialogue that life would have been better if they had offered me a better life. One good example would be to think of the first thing or the first few things that you tell your parents when you're mad at them or you're having an argument. What's that one thing that you say to them always? When you're really, spitting fire, like what's that one grudge that you always bring up? You know that there is something. There could be two, three things. There's one thing that you feel like, whether they didn't do enough or they didn't take care of you well enough, or they should have done something better, or like the way you use those words, you need to remember those words because they will unlock the mystery of what you feel like you did not get in your childhood that you still hold on to them for. Now, this can also pertain to a romantic relationship or whatever it is, but I feel like for majority of you this is going to be a relationship shared with your parents because this is an inner child card. And this is true. I feel like sometimes your brain works in a manner where it tries to convince itself that no, I'm doing the best I can, I'm not that mad at them. But the reality of the situation is that you needed their help and they could not do that, or they didn't do that, whatever it was. It's almost like that it's getting very close to that timeline in your life where you desire to let go of it, but I wonder if you still, it's not like you use it as an excuse, of course not. Why would you use that as an excuse? But it's like if you let go of them, it will require for you to reclaim yourself in a way which you have never done that, because your personality has sort of been built around that trauma, if that makes sense. Okay, allow me to explain that to you, or help you understand where I'm coming from with this concept. It's almost like, when we have trauma, we have these negative thought patterns, like we talk to ourselves in a poor manner, or we tell ourselves that this didn't happen, or this is the reason why we're unworthy. But once you start detaching yourself, like you start separating, yes, thank you spirit, you start separating that identity or that painful trauma that you've been through, then comes out a pile number two, which is actually healed, or healed enough to recognize that they are worthy. So when they recognize that they are worthy, they can no longer use this shield of trauma or pain to use it as an excuse to maybe hurt other people, to be passive in their life, to reject love. It's basically like all these things that were an umbrella effect under the trauma identified personality will separate itself. So now when it's separated, we have bigger issues to deal with, right? We have bigger issues that we have absorbed throughout the timeline of our life, that had been born through our childhood. So now we can't call ourselves unworthy, we can't be lazy about not pursuing our goals. So now we have a bigger, what do you call, a fish to fry. Now we have to look at our fear of failure, because now we are worthy and we know, and now we have to risk it all to go out there and put ourselves out there, where we can't use that, oh, our parents didn't do enough, because now the ball is in your court. You're old enough to make those decisions, or at least start embodying that persona where you can make that. So in this phase, I feel like if you're getting angry about the things that they're not working out for you, or you feel behind in life, or whatever it is, a tough pill to swallow, pile number two for you. And I feel like you are strong enough to face this right now. It's honestly, a lot of it is the way you hold yourself back now. Now, I'm not denying the inner work that is required for you to, like, sort of like separate yourself from, the identity that has always been. And it's difficult to reclaim your authority, right? When you've always felt like you never had any, to realize that you have that. And these are building blocks. This kind of authority just doesn't come hand in hand. Like, it is something that you earn, or perhaps develop for yourself through life experiences. So I feel like that honk might have been a confirmation for something. But I'm feeling like this card, the root girl with mystery, you've been looking for certain answers for certain situations. Okay, I'm gonna open this card, releasing your anger. There's two cards about anger, pile number two. I hope you take this into consideration, that there is anger that perhaps, and we have the higher self imagery above. So I wonder if you're still holding on to this and missing out on opportunities, or there's potential for that happening, or possibility, excuse me. um I feel like you need to understand that there's this mystery where you're trying to understand, like, hey, how am I going to make this work, or why is it not working out for me? And maybe supposedly, let's say that you have a dream that you want to achieve, and you know that through manifestation you have to achieve that level of vibration, and that level of vibration will only come when you let go of the beliefs that you hold inside subconsciously. For that, you have to do inner work. For that, you have to go back, sort of like, to the memory, or just like, let go of that memory which enables you to think that poorly about yourself. So this is that inner child work, which is not just done like this. You know what I mean? You have to change the narrative that you told yourself as a child, right? And for that, you need to revisit, or you don't have to revisit, but you have to experience or relive those emotions that you felt in that moment. Thank you, Spirit. You have to relive those emotions. So um I'm hearing that Spirit really wants to help you out with this. With the ghost, it can definitely be an indication of the spirits around you, perhaps, I also pick up on generational pattern breaker. So you're quite different from a lot of your family members. That is what it means. And you're breaking a lot of patterns, like, how criticism is thrown upon children, and they develop and internalize it as their own truth. So this is all that bifurcation that you will have to do for yourself. And at the end of the day, I know it's such a tough pill to swallow. Like, we want somebody else to save us, because our inner child is still telling us, like, hey, you won't be able to do that. This is exactly what today's you, pile number two, has to go and tell your inner child, like, hey, I got your back. You know what? I got your back no matter what. And you do this by keeping promises to yourself, developing self-confidence, developing boundaries, putting up your boundaries, exerting them, doing better for yourself, building that discipline, being committed to your goals, or whatever it is you have decided. If I've promised to myself, I said to myself, if I told myself I'm gonna work out every day, or at least 3 to 4, 5, I don't know how many times a week, for example. And I have to keep up that commitment because this is for my body, this is for my health. So there is some relation with your physical exterior, like your body, like what it needs. And I think that because of this trauma, your body has probably suffered through the hand of addictions or bad habits or poor coping mechanisms or just negativity that tends to weaken our nervous system. I just saw 1111, so this could be like something that is quite important for you to release your anger, because of course if you are going to withhold so much anger within yourself, like how is the body going to feel nice? Like it's like putting in drugs and expecting like a very clear skin. There are toxins in your body, so it's the same kind of metaphor where it applies. Like there's toxins, or there's bad memories, or your cells and your nervous system holds painful memories which doesn't let it feel completely happy. Like the trauma makes the nervous system anxious, weak, it gets panic attacks, it gets startled really quick. So all these things, like strengthening, I feel like spiritually you're very strong. That is not the problem over here. I feel like it's more like to recognize that those cycles are closing, and it's about time to let go of that from your physical body, because it is holding on to something, because it also deserves freedom. If it's kind of like you probably block it out of your head, like, but it still sits in your head at the end of the day. That's the funny thing. Just because you're shutting it out doesn't mean it's not there. And I feel like it resurfaces. Have you ever seen, like, if you're using a ball in a pool or in water and you're trying to submerge it, the ball is going to keep coming up. The ball is not going to fall flat on the ground of the pool. It's gonna keep coming up. So that's kind of like recurring emotions. They will keep coming up. So if you just let them pour themselves out and let go of them, it'll be easier. But the more you try to suppress it, it'll bounce back even harder for you. So remember that for yourself. The next time you feel like you need to take time for yourself and you're like, ugh, I don't want to deal with this right now, like it doesn't feel good, I don't have time for this. What is self-devotion? It is like, what, like you have to kind of treat yourself like a small little boy or small little girl, if not your inner child. Okay, it's like your sibling, and or it's like your daughter or your son, and they're telling you, like, something's bothering them. Are you gonna be like, look, I can't deal with this right now? Like, are you just gonna be yucked? Like, you're not gonna be disgusted about it, right? You're gonna be like, hey, something's bothering you, and I am the elder one and I am capable enough of taking care of you now. So this is the reparenting that you have to do. And in those moments when it's the most difficult, because these thoughts are the loudest, you have to entertain them and tell them that no, you're probably saying something, okay, it's probably emotionally driven or somebody made you feel like that, but I want to tell you, this is the truth. You're not unworthy. You're not going to belittle yourself. So we're changing the narrative over here, but it's all about like letting go of the pain that you still carry when it comes to your parents. Perhaps you still tell yourself that you're unworthy or you're not lovable because your parents didn't love you the right way, or they made you feel like you're difficult to love, or something like that. But the ghost card with the regret, this tells me that let go of that personality that revolves around feeling sorry for yourself. I hope you're ready to hear this, because it is pretty big, okay? And I know it can be harsh, but you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. And the moment you stop telling yourself, like, no, if your brain comes up and it wants to like fight with me and be like, no, but this happened to me and she doesn't know that. All right, I don't know that. But then again, how many times are you going to justify that to make yourself feel small? It's not like life defeated you. In fact, you defeated that circumstance. You still survived. And life on earth is about survivors. So I am not saying that there is no importance for your need to grieve and be angry about these things, but I'm just saying that don't put yourself in a box like, oh, this happened to me. This will come when you start owning up to these parts that you don't want to look towards, which are angry, which are still probably angry with your parents. And maybe your inner child is a little bit angry with you as well, because you're not giving it the time of the day to hear it out. But then again, what is always underneath anger with the mystery is somebody that feels hurt. Like whether your parents abandon you and you still feel hurt about it, or whether you abandon yourself and your inner child still feels like, hey, you're not really in my corner, even though you say you are, you're not really in my corner. So what is really self-love and prioritizing yourself? What is really important for you? Is it taking out 5 minutes in the time of the day and just being like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed, you know what? Or just canceling a plan because you're like, hey, I had an overwhelming day, or something is coming back up. Like it keeps coming back up for you. I see that over here. Like it doesn't really go away because you don't completely let it come out. And one thing about pain I'm going to suggest is that, pain, if you just sit with it, like how long will it last? 90 seconds, a minute? I know it feels really long time, but once it's out, it's out. That's the secret about healing. So I feel like it really clogs our own judgment also when we hold so much, aggression. So for you, I have an affirmation. It's called, you are in control. Just breathe. Okay, this is very good for you, bio number 2. So do hear me out. Just breathe. Breathing exercise is a good way of bringing instant calm if you're feeling panicky or tense. Take 10 slow, deep breaths. Visualize your feelings of worry and anxiety. Release those out as you breathe out. It's a good idea to take 5 minutes to do this every day, perhaps fasting in the morning or lunch during your lunch break. It's literally what I said, right? Take like 5 minutes throughout your day, or just pause everything and be like, hey, I need to be there by myself. I need to take care of myself because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I feel like you catch yourself being overwhelmed quite a lot, perhaps a few times throughout the day, because there's not just one thing perhaps you're dealing with. I think there are multiple things that come up for you. All right. So pile number 2, this was your reading. I'm going to leave it here. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated. Information for personal readings is given down below, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye bye. Hello, pile number 3. If you choose the clear quartz, this is going to be your reading. So with the clear quartz, the stone that you chose, this is a lot about clear vision. With the name suggest clearing out, just some sort of clarity, some sort of I don't know, reevaluation, some sort of weighing it out. So I'm picking up on Libra energy, weighing it out. Scorpio also purging. Pisces, which is good with intuition, so I'm picking up on water signs. I'm also picking up on fire energy, what is driving you, so like perhaps reconnection with your soul. So we have a lion's mane, leadership number 18 reduces to 9. This is Mercury and Uranus. Oh wow, we have the weighing scale for the Libra over here. And then we have the water flowing down. That's where we pick up on water energy. Then we have the lion, so we have fire energy. Pretty nice. So you could be quite intuitively tapping in as of now, or you could be taking out a time out to really think about things, because maybe you're like facing a burnout, or you're like sorry, like that was probably really funny. You're frequently, I was gonna say like constantly, that's all, like cuckoo. That's funny. I think you might have a good sense of humor. This is like the most lighthearted energy I've experienced throughout today's reading. There have been pretty heavy messages. I feel like you are somebody that is better than you have been before, perhaps, is the energy that I'm getting. I feel like you have reached a point, or you're reaching a point. I feel like you're reaching a point, or you're being asked to reach a point in your life where you believe and acknowledge your self-worth. Maybe a lot of situations have come in your path, like I'm getting practical situations where perhaps you execute the wisdom that you have accumulated to see, implement, execute, basically, lack for a better word, to see, like, now I have this knowledge, how does it flow out practically in life? So maybe you've faced, a few tricky situations, cunning people here and there, perhaps manipulative people, sort of like trickeries. I'm getting, because of the Mercury as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Spirit. And with the Uranus, people that are very good with manipulation. And the thing is that you're no less. I just think that it really lies in your intentions, like whether you have good intentions or bad intentions. So I feel like you're a very smart person. Definitely somebody who can meet people eye to eye, and call them out is what I'm picking up. So we have finding your limits, resilience. Definitely, this is about setting boundaries, perhaps. Um, Sacredness of pausing, winter. Passion. Yeah, I'm gonna fold that. I knew that there's something weird. Like there's another message that would bind in later on. So I am seeing that over here that you with winter, you reevaluation. Thank you, Spirit. So this is like I'm getting a lot of channeling, spot on channeling for your reading. You're creating this sacred space right now with the clear quartz and the depiction of the lion with these. I don't know what are these. What the heck is this? Like a frozen. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's also like you take some time in solitude, you hibernate perhaps, or it's not hibernation, perhaps maybe you need that actually. Maybe it's been a while since you have actually taken that time out for yourself. But I see that you are somebody that is, it's like taking your time, and I feel anxious right now speaking, because maybe there are things that you need to do, and perhaps within that solitude it's like reminding yourself, like recuperating, recuperating with your own human resource, your spiritual resource. You're calling upon your higher self perhaps, or just like you're trying to ask for help. You're trying to ask for help from your guided angels, or your higher self. I'm really getting that, like what is your future self. Basically your higher self is your future self. Like you would assume, like different people have different understandings, like they're in their 4D, they're connecting with their soul in their 5D or something like that. Like there's something like but I see that the higher self, the easiest way is to like see that what your future self is telling you, like how to get there. So I feel like something is telling you like how to get there, or just your better judgment is telling you like how to embody that person that you want to be to get to a specific goal in your life, like a milestone or something. Like or it can just be with the winter. It's like you you are letting this intuition really guide you from within, let you know that hey, this is what you need to do, or this is what you need to declutter. Like there's a moment of pause, like where you're just it's not inaction completely, but I feel like it is, like when it comes to like the calm before the storm. Like it's almost like before you take those big steps, before things are shuffling and you start making moves over here in your life. This is the time where you're like it's like you're really recuperating. I'm getting that word, like you're trying to I'm also hearing reimbursements. Like maybe it's a time where you're also looking at those parts which are still bleeding and wounds that still need to be healed, or perhaps like I'm getting negative self-thought, talk or thought patterns, or self-aggrandizement where you keep belittling yourself. Like a lot of those things that are still coming up, and you need to really, really, sit and tame your demons and be like, hey, what, listen to me. So I feel like you can only do those things when you have isolated a little bit of yourself, so that you can hear what is actually happening. I feel like when you go too much out in the crowd, you do that to silence your thoughts. But when you go the distance to like isolate a little bit of yourself to, focus on what's important in dealing with those demons that you've been trying to avoid, or like the voices that you don't want to hear. I feel like this could be a moment of reevaluation over here. Like with leadership, I feel like it's like telling yourself like who's the boss, like telling your demons like who is in charge over here, and it is your higher self. That's why there's a huge play of higher self, or whatever you like to call your future self, or your better judgment, or your intuition telling you like, you know what, this is who we need to become in order to achieve what we want, and we know we can do it, but there are certain things that are still anchoring us down. So this could be where your spirit guides are like sort of like, enabling you. And I don't even feel like you need spirit guides. Perhaps like you're already in good communication with them, or just like, whatever your better judgment tells you. I keep getting that word, better judgment. It's almost like you have two paths. You recognize there are two paths that can guide you. It can be the anxious side, and it can be the intuition as well. So I feel like your anxious side comes from the life challenges that you've faced, and your intuition is something that is very soft. It whispers. What's the difference between, I'll tell you one thing, what's the difference between anxiety and intuition, or wishful thinking and fantasizing? um, your intuition will make you very uncomfortable. You will know when it's your intuition because it will make you uncomfortable. I feel like you guys have a lot of anxiety. It's quite ongoing. It's like maybe I don't know, I'm getting a state of being for you for a really long time. And I feel like um, there's like strength over here in silence is what I'm picking up. Letting your I'm getting a very different message. It's almost like pour that water out. So it could be cry it out, or maybe pour that energy completely out, like get it out of you. It's like purging. That's why we picked up on Scorpio energy. Thank you, Spirit. So you go quite hand in hand. And I feel like one other message that I'm getting that could be with resilience is like sort of like with the winter card, it's almost like let go of old habits, or like what doesn't align with you anymore, or like maybe because you're growing, you're acknowledging your self-worth. So a lot of things that you used to probably tolerate are not things that you tolerate anymore. So it's also perhaps about like reevaluation, in the sense like who deserves an explanation and who doesn't. Like, yeah, you can put it out there, but if you still see that they don't have the comprehensive ability to just understand you and where you're coming from, or reach a middle ground, or they don't even have that maturity, and you just want to deliver your closure or your conclusion to the scenario. um I feel like, it's a lot about like who do you think really deserves an explanation or a second thought in these situations. Like, I know it's painful, but I feel like it's not always required for you to open your mouth. Sorry to be so frank, but it is what it is. Like, with the lion's energy, it's the roar that really speaks quite, it echoes and it makes people scared, or the other animals. And this dragon is also sort of like, it's the after effects of I'm seeing after blowing a lot of fire over here. So it's like the heat, the smoke that is coming out over here. And I see this sort of like ice skating. I don't know if that's a hobby for someone. But I see that oh, that's called skiing. Yeah, thank you, Spirit. But it's almost like riding the waves over here. Like it's almost like perhaps a part of you requires for you to not be so generous with people, because you can see the goodness in other people. You fall in love with flaws. I think that is one of your weaknesses. um but I think that unless and until you learn how to employ your superpower, it will always feel like a weakness. That's what Spirit just reframed it into. Like how I said that seeing the goodness in other people, like you fall in love with that, has become a weakness because you tend to fall for it way too much. You tend to fall for fake promises, or second chances, or 3 4 5 trillion chances. And you're like a sucker for uh I wouldn't say was, but maybe that is true. But it could also be maybe that you are genuinely wanting people to do better for themselves. So you're that one person who's like, hey, if people didn't keep faith in you, I'll keep that faith in you. I'll put that faith in you. So that's not always required to be a martyr. Pile number 3, I feel like this is also one habit maybe you need to cleanse out of yourself. You don't have to overextend yourself. If somebody is not doing that for you, please don't do that for them. Realize and reassess your limitations over here. It's all about boundaries. Don't be a martyr over here. Nobody requires for you to be a martyr. Just think about yourself, because you are growing right now. And I feel like you're going to attract all kinds of people. And one thing about life is that it's not just that, toxic people only come to you. I do pick up on very healing, potent energy. It's perhaps also very sexual, but more than that, it's like you really melt people once you open your heart to them. So it's like, there's ice and ice over here, there's like walls, but once you open yourself up, people can really see that, and they try to do whatever they can to hold on to you. And I feel like even if you realize after opening up that they're not the best character to have in your life, best individuals, I feel like people would try to manipulate you or trick you, because like they get hooked onto your energy or just your warmth, and it is true. So I feel like a good measurement of this situation or assessment would be to really, like, just be like, okay, what, be selfish in that moment, be practical. And I know you have it in you. You don't have to be rude to someone to set a boundary, but you can be very discerning, and very, very authoritative about that, because you have to protect yourself. um, that is one thing that I'm getting over here, because like you are reevaluating, so your energy is also radiating that self-worth, that belief in yourself, so you're glowing, literally. And I feel like, I think you're becoming more warmer about it. Perhaps before you used to feel like vulnerability is weakness also, and you're letting go of that, and now you're able to set boundaries without being too aggressive or too defensive. Now you have that sternness about you, right? Like, this is what I can accept and this is what I'm not going to accept, and you know how to deliver that. Perhaps your communication style has also changed. So I feel like it's really good. A lot of things, rapid changes are taking place for you, and you're not even realizing, because you're the one who's going through that. But outside looking in, you're changing really quick, right? You're a little bit intimidating as well, because of how focused you are on yourself. So keep doing that, okay? And I feel like these were just little things that I could probably, it would click for a few of you, or it might click for every one of you, I don't know. But um I feel like there's a lot going through your mind, because I was so chatty throughout it. I didn't skip a beat, is what I feel. So we have Willow the Wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows, 62 reduces to 8, and we have Passion. This is the passion, probably, because I've been feeling so passionate about this. Um, I feel like with Willow the Wisp, you can see how all the colors are blue. This is about your authenticity. So perhaps moving forward, I would like to say, or your spirit guides, that keep try to remain authentic to yourself while exploring life, while exploring vulnerability. Try to remain authentic, because I feel like you are somebody that shows up with that feeling with yourself or with your closed ones, but you're not able to exert that authenticity. Perhaps, like, it's like you're able to probably talk to your closest friends or your parents about these things, and when it's time to really exert that personality or individuality, with Uranus, of course, or Mercury, it can be like exerting that opinion or thought, or putting it out there, being as passionate as you are about yourself in your little four can't speak. I think you generally face difficulty in your little four-walled room, like when you have to exert a boundary and tell somebody, like, this is how I feel, or just it doesn't have to be a fight always. You don't have to put up a fight always. It's like you don't like something, or you have to tell them, like, hey, you know what, this is what happened, or there's just an opinion, like it's political, or I don't know, it's philosophical, whatever it is. It's like you're not that confident in putting yourself out there. Like you have boxed yourself up, like, if it doesn't feel like 100% right, I can't put it out there. It doesn't have to be. So try to remain that authentic with yourself when you are with perhaps people outside of your inner circle, is one thing that I'm getting. Because this will bring more confidence in you as a good orator or just a communicator in life, right? So this builds up more what you call confidence, right? And considering we have, like, just the blues and the red, this red could come from perhaps your childhood. Like, you feel, the red represents root chakra, which can be about your initial security in life and stability. So maybe you were not valued for your opinion, or you were shooed away, or you were just like made shush, like, like, we don't want your opinion, or it's not that important. It could be also gender biased, is what I'm picking up over here. So whatever it is, like, conditioning, I feel like with the winter, take a step to pause, and like whoever tells you that you can't ask for this or gaslights you or manipulates you, people do all sorts of things to get their own way. I feel like remain true to yourself and your values. At last, I would like to conclude this on a thought that you decide what kind of a moral compass you hold for yourself. Okay, moving forward, remain true to that as well. Uphold yourself to a level of integrity as well, because you are that kind of a person. So I would conclude this at an affirmation. So we have, this is a chapter, not your whole story. So however this fits, right? Because it probably could be very difficult for you to declutter so much at once who you have been. But I see this as something that is going to be very, very good for you. Very auspicious phase, I'm hearing. Find an escape. Sometimes you just need to escape to a different world. There's nothing quite like a good book to whisk you away from your worries for a while. Settle down in your coziest spot, put on a calming playlist, and lose yourself in someone else's story. Audiobooks are an excellent option for full immersion. There are plenty of free options online to get you started. Okay? So pile number 3, this was your reading. I'm going to leave it here. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated. Information for personal readings is given down below, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye-bye.